Not the best setup here today. Yep, see? All right, let's see. Kind of an impromptu stream here. Hello, is anyone here? There we go. Hello, how is everyone? Sorry guys, I forgot my clip for my phone, so I'm kind of like resting it on something if the angle's weird or any of that stuff. I just thought I would come on and do a little happy Merry Christmas kind of thing and see how everybody's doing before the holidays. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for watching the Ric Flair vlog today. Good to see everyone. I hope everyone's having a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. Yeah, I have been unbelievably busy. I got to my family's house literally like hours before the snow really hit, so yeah, everyone is getting hit pretty hard. Yeah. I basically had plans all over Chicago again, and I saw the forecast, so I left. And actually I had prepaid for one of my plans, and they called me while I was like driving out of town and said, "Hey, we're just calling because we need to cancel tomorrow." I was like, totally cool. Yeah, it's pretty brutal everywhere. When I was it really hit in Minnesota, and it was bad there for several days. Um and and then I flew to Vegas, and surprisingly Vegas was freaking cold. Like Vegas was very cold. Hung out there for a couple of days, and then flew back to the Midwest, and it was snowing again. And then then I was like, oh boy, it's really gonna hit hard tomorrow. So I just started driving until I hit my family's place. So then last night we got just hammered here, and can't even drive today. This is one of those days that like the roads are all ice, and it's been basically below 4 or below 7 all day. Snowed at Graceland too. Yeah, I was there. What was it, 2 years ago, and it snowed, so I got to see snow at Graceland then, I believe. No, I'm with my family. They're not in Lebanon. But yeah, I figured I would check in, see how everybody's doing for Merry Christmas. I've been putting up a lot of videos this month, but after pretty much right around Christmas, I'm going to lay off, and I'm going to take it kind of easy in January. Everybody's great. Everybody's safe. Spent several days with my girlfriend, and now she's spending it with her parents while I spend it with my parents. Yeah, I honestly don't mind it that much, because around the holidays, what do I really have to be doing anyway? You know what I mean? I really should. That's a darn good excuse to be locked in watching movies and catching up on emails and just relaxing, hanging out with family and stuff. I've been doing that. So yeah, you're in Central Ohio. Yeah, it's got it hard. My brother usually comes in. He would have usually came in like today, but he's up in Michigan and he saw the weather, so he came down early, and I think he arrived about 30 minutes before it was snowing. I was actually joking with my grandpa. I'm like, "Oh, this could be like an old wives' tale. There'll be nothing going on," jokingly. And then I looked out the window about 10 minutes later, and my car's under a carport and it was already covered because the wind is just blowing like crazy. So that's the problem. It's cold and it's extremely windy. Whew, Grand Rapids. Yeah, I bet you're really cold up there. I bet you're really cold. I made it as far north as St. Cloud, Minnesota, and it was really cold there. We went and saw Nelson do their Christmas show. Didn't vlog it, but she's wanted to see that for years, so we drove several hours to go do that, especially for her. Thank you, American Dreamer. That's very nice of you. Thank you for the super chat. Merry Christmas to you too, and Happy New Year. Didn't know about Tiger King. I don't really want to do much on the Tiger King, you know. That whole thing is kind of like sad that it even happened. Just one of those, yeah, just one of those. I'm not sure anybody is in it for the right reasons, and yeah, Point Pleasant, you're not far from me. I've been through there several times. I like that area. Thank you, Chris. Greetings from Utah. You were in Boise this morning. Oh boy. -5. Yeah, it was I had to go out to get one of my family's presents out of the car today. I thought I had cleaned out the car, and then I realized, oh man, I left something for my stepdad's present out in the car, and had to just go out to the car and back, and that was it was so cold. So cold. Just mainly because it's so windy, you know. Yeah, Nature Boy Fred Phillips. How about that? Yeah, I was really shocked to know that Rick never had any interest in finding out who his adopted parents were. In fact, he said, I didn't say it in the vlog, but he said on a podcast that his real brother reached out to him like a year ago and wanted to like connect, and Rick said he wasn't interested. He just said, you know, where do you go from there? Like, my parents were who my parents were. If, you know, we talk about what wasn't, what, you know, where do you go from there? And I get that. I get, you know, the one thing he did mention was like one of his wives used to always say, well, we need to know the family history for like genetics and, you know, health and all that stuff. But he was just like, I don't want to dig into that stuff. So you know, that's funny. You said, were his adopted parents proud of him? He said they went to one football game a year and they never ever went to his wrestling matches. I'm sure they were proud of him, but he always says he was like thrilled with who he got as parents, but he wasn't sure if they felt the same, but he knew he was happy with them. So I don't know. You know, I was totally confident in doing, you know, mentioning that stuff because he's talked about it and laughed about it so much on podcasts and then in his book and stuff. You know, I knew his documentary was coming out the day after Christmas, and I thought to myself, you know, I just saw him, and 2 times ago when I saw him, I was talking to him, telling him about my channel and saying like, yeah, I want to do a video on like your childhood and stuff. And he said Golden Valley. And he started laughing. He said, until they shipped me off to be somebody else's problem. And then the last time I saw him, I said, you know what? I think I found your house. Was it this? And he said, yeah, it was my folks' place. I said, was that the one you lived at with them? He said, yeah, until I was a sophomore. So thank you again, Chris. That was really cool of you. Yeah. Yeah, you said I always have a water in the side door of my car. And yeah, every time that I leave it in there when I go out to like staying at a hotel and go back out, there's always a frozen bottle out there. You would love to see my take on pro football what? Oh, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Well, here's the thing. I do definitely enjoy football now, and when I have a chance, I do watch it, but I didn't follow it growing up that much, so my knowledge of football history is very limited. So not that I wouldn't go, it's just I wonder how interesting it would be to see me walking around a place I don't know that much about. But I would like to see it. Any trips with Scott coming up? I told him I plan on spending, because of how cold it's been. I mean, I have been through Pittsburgh, Ohio, Indiana, Chicago, Minnesota, Vegas, all that back and everything. I told Scott when I saw it, because I actually get crazy enough. You guys, this is odd. I decided to go out to Vegas and visit Todd and Kat because, they're all Christmas. They're like me. They keep the Christmas tree up all year round, and they love celebrating it. And I hadn't seen them in a while, and we were saying like, when they were like, when are you going to come back? And so I looked, and a flight was round trip was $170, so I couldn't beat that. So I just decided to fly out there and sent Scott a photo, and he's like, "Wait, you're here too? I'm here." So we ended up running into each other. But I told him when I was there, I said, I decided after all the cold I've been in, I'm spending all of January in Florida. So I told him, I said, if you want to fly down and meet me, we can go all over Florida and stuff, but I want to stay somewhere warm. I have I'm not. I moved out of Ohio to get away from the cold, and I put myself in this predicament this year. So, thank you, Tony and Susie. That was very nice of you. You also sent something through PayPal. Thank you. Yeah, you said you're pinching yourself that I got to meet Clark and Ellen Griswold. I wasn't so much starstruck with. This is the God's honest truth. I was thrilled to meet them, but I was more starstruck by seeing Vicki Lawrence in the Mama's Family outfit. Even though I've always, like, I talked to her earlier in the day, it was so different when I walked in the room and she was dressed up like Mama and she was standing there grinning, and I walked up and I had like this big smile on my face. She goes, "What are you smiling about, Elvis?" Because I had the Elvis hat on, and I was just like, "Oh man, this like it was just such a cool." Because she never does that. This was the first year that she's ever posed for photos. Thank you again, Chris the Shriner dog. Yeah, I will be. I will come to Utah. My plan for the new year is I want to go. I don't want to, like, if you notice on my channel, I do a lot of like, one day I'm here and then the next day I'm 8 hours away, or I want to try and do less of that this year. I want to pick places and get to spend a little bit of time there. Like, I want to pick states and spend like a couple of weeks there and do stuff. So that's the plan this year. And I would like to do a little bit of international stuff as well, but we'll just see how it all goes. Thank you, Rex Straw. That's very generous of you. You and Terry are so good to me. Thank you. You said, thank you for all the great vlogs. Try and stay warm. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Picked up Nelson's Christmas album after your vlog, and it's great. Yeah, I had never heard any of their Christmas stuff. But like I said, my lady, she's wanted to see that show. They've been doing a Christmas show, touring it for years, and she's wanted to go for so long. And we looked at their schedule and saw that was going to happen. We're like, okay, so that'll be the one we go to. That'll give me a chance to do Home Alone on the way out there. We can go to Ric Flair's house together. We can do, all this stuff, and we can go to the concert. And I told her, I was like, I'm not going to vlog it. I'm going to just like enjoy it and all that stuff. So that's what we did. I have a couple of like little tidbits from the show I might put into a little day after Christmas vlog or something, but tomorrow's vlog will be fun. It's a very Christmassy video. And then the day after that, I got Kat to sit down, and she told me all about how she, like, her life with Evel Knievel, how she met Evel Knievel, what she thought of Evel Knievel as a person, all that stuff. So yeah, Chris, go ahead and send me something through Instagram. I will look for it. I have to, sometimes things that get sent through there slide through the cracks and I don't see them. People have been running into me at like wrestling conventions and saying they've sent me messages through there, and I'm like, I never saw them. So I think there might be like a little like weird hidden button somewhere that has other messages. So I will make sure I keep an eye out for that. No, I don't miss LA at all. In fact, David Oman was asking me if I was out there because he saw the photo of me and Scott together in Vegas. I said no, and he said to let him know next time I'm going to be there. I said I don't have any plans to go, honestly. I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those things like when you've been somewhere so long and then you see it change so much. When I went back, that just kind of like killed it for me. When I went back recently over the summer, I was just like, I don't miss. Yeah, I think it was just like I just moved on. Will I do the get back with Billy Corgan? Yes. The deal with Billy Corgan though is they want to do it, and this totally makes sense. It's the easiest way to do it. Since I go to these events, they're like, hey, let's do it when you're coming to one of the pay-per-views, and we'll talk about like the pay-per-view, wrestling, music, everything there, because Billy has such a crazy. He does a podcast. He runs a restaurant slash coffee tea house. He's touring with the Smashing Pumpkins. He's now, as of yesterday, started a new record with the Smashing Pumpkins. He has two kids that go to school. He's active in the community. He runs and owns NWA Wrestling. So he's got so many things. It's just like the problem is they're like, it's so hard for us to schedule him because we don't have any say in all the other stuff that he's doing. You know what I mean? They're like, it's hard for us to like say, oh, he can do it this day when we don't know what his schedule is for his music and all that other stuff. So they're trying to do we're trying to do it when they do a pay-per-view. And I don't think I'm going to go to the next one is in Mexico City, but they had invited me to do it at the one in Louisiana. But the problem was I had already agreed to go film the thing with Bushwhacker Luke and Jay Lethal and Jimmy Hart. I knew all those guys were going to be there. So I'd already agreed to that. And I just felt like going back on my word, even though it was to interview Billy Corgan, like going back on my word, I just felt like was bad karma. So, but I know it's totally going to happen because I talked to Kerry Morton yesterday, who's the junior heavyweight champion for NWA, and his dad is Ricky Morton from the Rock and Roll Express. And I asked him if I could interview him, and he said he had to get clearance with NWA. And within like 5 minutes of me asking him, he's like, "Hey, I just talked to NWA. They know you. They said I can totally do it." So yeah, I'm still all good with them. So we'll do that. Jaw's great. Jaw is not here right now because when I got word it was going to be super warm, I made arrangements for him to go back to the warmth. He was not enjoying the cold. And I knew that was possibly going to be the case, so I knew there was a point in the journey that he could get back to some warmth. So he's making his friends that are watching him right now, he's making their day, because last year they missed him so much for Christmas, and we were gone for like a month and a half or 2 months. And this year I was like, you know what? The way it's all looking, I think he'd probably rather be there with them. And they were like, oh, they just, they're retired and don't have their own kids. So it's like, for them, it's just like, he is a godsend. And he's the, I miss every single minute that he's not with me, from all the driving and everything. He's my little buddy. He's my little roll dog. So he's always there. But you said you'd love to be part of a wrestling organization. There are tons and tons of independent organizations, and probably one near you. You should hit them up and ask them if you can volunteer or work with them. That's how everybody starts, I think, helping to set up the ring, doing things like that, and getting involved and doing things that way. It's crazy. People have been reaching out to me. Independent wrestlers recently have been reaching out saying like they watch my channel and just letting me know that they have what their organization is they work for, and if I'm in the area that I should come. And I'm like, totally, I'll do that. So I started saving all of them and following them on Instagram and stuff. I was like, that's fun for me. I enjoy doing that. Whether the people that watch me or subscribe to me are into that, I don't know. I mean, the one thing I found this year was that, a lot of the people that were subscribed to me from when I was in Hollywood, they're just not interested in anything that's not movie related or anything. So I just had to, I just have to accept that I'm building a new fan base. Cause like when you look at the demographics, it's like people that are subscribed to me, it's almost all like 35 to 75. So a lot of the things that I'm interested in from when I was like a teenager, hardly anybody that is subscribed knows who that is or wants to know. Don't know anything about the YMCA. Couldn't answer that one for you. Haven't been there since I was playing basketball when I was a kid. That's right, VNA. You've been with me forever. You've been with me since like the beginning. And you watch everything. I see you comment and stuff. I really appreciate it. I assume if I was starting to suck or whatever that, that I wouldn't see you commenting or anything anymore. Plus my girlfriend, she says that she says that too. She's like, it's not your fault if people won't click on it and even give it a chance. And I go, yeah, that's true. So I always just think like there's so many cool places that we stumble upon that I'm surprised people don't, I'm surprised people weren't interested in seeing like IAPA, like this big, huge place where they announce all the new rides and all the new cool stuff. So I was just like, well, that's just the people that are subscribed to me. I can't really do anything about that. Yeah, the Clark Gable poster. I will though in the new year. I know people want to see more Jaw. I will do more Jaw in the new year. I hadn't been doing it because so many videos early on. I would show so much of them, and people were always just complaining like, "Oh, why do I have to see 5 minutes of your dog and this and that?" So I was like, "Well, fine, then we'll put 5 seconds of the dog." And the people that, but for the people that really want to see Jaw, that's not enough. They're like, "Hey, we want to see more of him." So we'll figure out a good balance for that. Did I hit Lou Malnati's? I did, but I didn't go in because the weather. I ordered it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Kathy. Yeah, I know. Well, that's part of it too, is that I think sometimes people really feel like they're that I should have to show my personal life, my house and my girlfriend and things like that. And the truth is, if I hadn't had so many freaking problems, if I didn't have people showing up at my house like I do and filming my house and harassing businesses through the mail and using my return address and stuff like that, I would totally be all for it. But because that goes on and it's mainly one psychotic nutcase, I just can't. I can't. It's unfortunate, but I can't. Like I have other people's safety to think about. I have family, so I'm sorry if it upsets people, but that's just until that guy's locked away, and we are working on that. We have a case going, and every time he does something, I contact my agent and I send him everything, and we have that. But until they have something where they can just zero after him and go after him for all the people he's harassed and everything, then that's how it has to be for now. It's nothing personal. It's like I used to show that stuff. I had no problem with it, but to this day, Amy still gets harassed, and she hasn't been on here in how many years? So why should people that were just having fun on my channel put up with that? Thank you, Terry Straw. That's so much. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. Yeah, at some point I will. At some point we'll get to a point where we can do that, But, right now my lady has her own business, and she's very sought after in her field, and so she comes out with me when she can. And it's sad that I can't put her in the videos, when we're doing Home Alone and we're doing Ric Flair's house, and I'm like, can you just hang in the car so I don't have your reflection in the glasses, so people aren't looking you up online and all that stuff. Like sadly, that's the stuff I have to think about. Do I have plans to travel overseas in the coming year? I do. I want to. I'm just not exactly sure where yet, but I do want to. And the thing is, I did so much of it. I was kind of tired of doing it alone, honestly. So that's part of it too. I want my girlfriend to be able to go with me on those places. Thank you, Tracy. That's so nice of you. And one thing I've learned is that you really, if you're traveling overseas, you really want to like make sure you guys know each other very well. You don't want to have any like conflicts or anything when you're 12 hours, a 12-hour flight, away from home. So, but she and I never have any conflict. We never have any fights or arguments or any of that stuff. We get along so great. So that's just one of those things that I'm confident in knowing that that when we go, we'll have a great time. I agree. Ric Flair is the man. I don't, he knows all of his flaws. He laughs about them. He says he's the first one to say he's not perfect, And but I think it's one of those things for me. The more he divulges on his podcast, the more I like him. And then I've met him several times and got to talk to him at those things. You know, I didn't have the camera on him when I got to talk to him, but those were also events where I was like, this is a good dude. Like this is like he's the kind of guy I wish that I could walk into a place, sit down and watch a football game and just talk to because he's just a pretty, as crazy as it sounds, he really is a normal dude that just loves sports and just a funny guy. So there was no back and forth with Kevin Nash. Honestly, there was nothing. It was literally, he just wasn't happy that I showed where Scott's grave was. And I that's one of those things. If he didn't grow up the way I did, maybe he doesn't view that kind of stuff that way. Maybe to him, that is, I've seen people say that. They're like, oh, a graveyard is for the friends and family only. But I mean, people that watch this channel don't feel that way, and I certainly wasn't going out there to do anything insulting to his memory. It was strictly for the fans and people that love him and respect him the same way I do. So that's one of those things that I know I didn't do anything wrong. So I made a video. I explained where I was coming from and I left it at that. If he wants to pop out my eyeball the next time he sees me, that's on him. But I don't think I did anything disrespectful. So any plans on vlogging with Eric during Kiss Time? He doesn't know. He doesn't like to do that. He kind of views like his professional life is when he's doing Kiss stuff, and when he's not, he wants a personal life too. So, if we're out doing stuff, I mean, he doesn't mind if I let if it's kind of hard to keep his voice out there because he's always talking and stuff. But we actually just missed each other. He was visiting people out of town when I was coming in because he had something for me, and he ended up leaving it with Kat so that I would get it because it was crazy. It was like I was flying in at night and he flew out that morning, and then I was flying out in the morning and he was flying back that night. So it was like we literally just missed each other. I thought it was weird to get upset at too, but I guess if you're from his perspective, you're looking at it like, hey, that was my best friend, and this guy's out showing his grave, making money off it. Maybe that's the way he views it, because, certainly most people on YouTube are doing it for that reason. Certainly that. Thank you, Jackie Howard. Thank you. That was very nice of you. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, I mean, I don't go to, vlog anybody's grave for income. I just make videos that people that have the same interests like me want to see, and I just look at it like whatever I earn off of views on the channel. I have 2,000 videos. That's what keeps me being able to do this stuff and travel. So yeah, and you're right. You're right. Yeah, some cemeteries are private cemeteries, and so yeah, this was not one of them. In fact, this one was one that when I went to the office and asked questions, they were more than happy to tell me. In fact, they were like, "Oh yeah, several people have been here. We didn't realize, how many people loved him so much." And no, I don't have anything Elvis planned right now. I've done a lot of Elvis stuff, and I don't know. That movie kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm not really doing much Elvis right now because I really don't want to direct anybody to that movie. I'm thankful that people that really love him go and find like my videos and Trey's videos and Spa Guy's videos. They like kind of like dive down the rabbit hole to make sure that they get the real stories, or they get part of a good story, something somewhat accurate. Yeah, Don Knotts was amazing. Also, it was a real thrill for me when I was working at my job and he used to come in there all the time. I mean, it was like for, I want to say it was like a few weeks, probably a month or two. He was in there several times a week. Just for me, that was just like, man, that's so cool seeing Ralph Furley walk in here, because he's always all smiles, had his sunglasses on, and because he had like an eye surgery. Thoughts on Tales from the Territory? I love him. Last night I was watching the Portland one because that was where Roddy told me he like his a lot of his favorite days were in the Portland area, and then I watched the Andy Kaufman one today. I had seen the Hart one. I had seen the Florida one. I'm gonna do a video on the Florida stuff because I ended up buying like these like a stack of old like programs from Florida Championship Wrestling. Like the guy who had him originally had like stapled all of his tickets for the events to it. And I'm like looking at a lot of these and there's like crap all over them. I go, what the hell is this? Then it dawned on me, it was like people's blood. Like these were bloody matches. You grew up in Edina, so you didn't. Yeah, Rick. Yeah. Rick was from Edina. Yeah, it was. That was a tough one to find, but that was so cool of him when I asked him and told him the address that I thought it was. He was like, "Oh yeah, that was it." I've seen him say several times like he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind people telling stories about him because it just builds the legend even more. And they're all stories he's told himself. Every story I told in my vlog was in either in his book or he's talked about on a podcast. So yeah, I have vlogged the President's Graves of Ohio. I did. I think it was Garfield's, if I'm not mistaken. You said besides meeting Hogan, is there a wrestler on your bucket list you want to meet? Yeah, I want to meet Sting. Sting's next on the list. Sting and Stone Cold would be great. Thank you, Shelly. I appreciate that. You liked the video about Ric Flair today. Thank you. I was going to add so much more to it, but I don't know. It was really cold. I was going to tell some of the funny stories, like the time that Brian Knobbs shaved Ric Flair's one eyebrow off while he was asleep on a plane, and when he woke up, everybody started laughing. And Rick grabbed his eye and realized that his eyebrow was gone. He started screaming, and Knobbs came running out of the airplane bathroom and had shaved off both of his eyebrows and said, "That damn Kurt Hennig, he got me too." Rick said, "I wanted to quit the company. Kurt Hennig wasn't even on the plane." He goes, "I knew it was Knobbs." And he was telling a story about how he took his family on some sort of trip with Roddy Piper's family, and they were flying at Christmas time, and Rick and Roddy were so drunk on the plane that they were running up and down the aisles trying to get the plane to sing Jingle Bells, and they were doing it like in choruses, like point your turn here, your turn here. And the pilot came out and finally told him if they didn't stop it and sit down, he was going to land the plane. Or the time that Roddy and Rick were doing like a tug of war, like they had both got new SUVs and they were nose to nose in a KFC parking lot, seeing whose engine was more powerful, trying to push each other around the parking lot. Just absolutely like nutty stories, crazy stuff. Time he was digging through the trash at that restaurant that he goes to in Baltimore, because one of the girls he was with told him he threw his Rolex in the plate of spaghetti and said he had 13 more. So he was digging through the trash looking for his Rolex because he had to go home for Thanksgiving and didn't want his wife to know he had lost his Rolex. So then he had to find another Rolex dealer that had the same watch. And when he got the same watch and wore it home, his daughter recognized that the diamonds were in his first one were circular and the ones in his new one were square. So he was busted. Just crazy. Are you going to go back to Disney World? Yes, I'm going to go in January, actually, because when I went, the day that I went, it was, I don't like to stay like for 12 hours. I mean, I know you should get your money's worth. I mean, but the lines get to be so long. And sometimes it just, when you do stuff that long, for me, it kind of like, it makes it not as much fun. So I told myself when I was there that day that I would come back like probably in January. I figured like snowbird weather when everybody's down there. So I figured I would go back and see some of the other parks because the only one that I went to was Epcot. I'd like to see the other ones. When, in fact, I think I mentioned it in the vlog when I was there the first time. I think they had either just announced or they were opening the following year the Animal Kingdom, so it wasn't even there yet. Oh, that's very cool of you, Joanne. Thank you. You say you may not think you're interested in something I vlog, but you watch it and you love the stories. Well, I always kind of, that's what Netflix is, honestly. Like how many people just become obsessed with Tiger King, Dahmer, Richard Ramirez. Like it all stems, like most times, whenever there's a major influx in interest, it's because Netflix put out some documentary, and all these people that didn't know they were interested in it all of a sudden um, get into it, and then they're like looking up everything. I always kind of thought that's what my channel would be. I'm like, I'll do stuff that people don't know about. It might spark their interest and they'll go down a rabbit hole, but I don't know. A lot of times, people just decide, because I'll see it. They'll comment like on the wrestling videos or whatever, and they'll say like, I'm not watching this fake stuff. I'll wait till you're back to doing Hollywood stuff. And I'm just like, you're gonna be waiting a while. I mean, I do what interests me and when the opportunities arise, and that's one of those things. It just as they pop up, I go, oh yeah, that sounds fun. I'm gonna go to that. Or so that's what I continue to do. Just do the things that have a genuine interest in me and hope that and usually when somebody says I'm not watching this wrestling video or whatever, those videos usually end up doing extremely well because the wrestling community loves them. And when I went to the Elvis Fest, a bunch of people were stopping me because they recognized me from videos there. The same thing's happening at the wrestling conventions. Now all of a sudden people are stopping me there going, oh, I love your so that's cool. Like it helps people that might have been on the fence about going to an event. They see maybe my video and they go, yeah, I'm going to go to the next one. That's what it's about, getting people interested in doing stuff. Plus, usually the stories are just insane. Mean Gene Okerlund doesn't have a grave that I know of, but he's a legend. You want to talk about people that, if I could pay homage to two people, right off the bat, it would be Bobby Heenan and Gene Okerlund. If I could find a way of doing a vlog for them, I would love to because they were just super quick witted. I just love it. I love always seeing them. Gene Okerlund had so many great one-liners, especially if you watch him on Legends House. Speaking of Legends House, did anybody see that Hacksaw Jim Duggan had a home invasion and he held him at gunpoint? How about that? Oh, was it fun meeting Mama? It sure was. It sure was because I love Mama's Family. So yes, I mean, those events are extremely expensive. I don't usually talk about that on the videos because I assume people know that you do have to pay to meet them and everything and everything. But yeah, it's I try and budget a little bit and keep it to people I really just really want to meet. So she was one that when I heard the announcement, that was part of the reason I was like, oh, I'm for sure going to that. I'm for sure going to that. Have I ever met Mick Foley? No, I have not. I have not met Mick Foley yet that I can think. No, I haven't. He was at Ric Flair's last match weekend, but again, there were so many people there. You had to really like budget yourself because I mean, you can spend $1,000 quick. I mean, quick. Because like a photo and an autograph from somebody, almost like depending on who they are, that's between 60 and $100 for that, right, for those right there. So when I go, I have to look at it. For one thing, I go, well, thank God, uh, it's a tax deduction for me for this channel to do stuff like that. But still, it adds up, man. I just think, I also think I'm thankful that there are a lot of videos that I do that don't cost a penny, doing filming locations don't cost a penny. So sometimes meeting Chevy Chase and people like that in a video and giving people that go, I'd love to do it, but I don't have the money. Sometimes I just go, you know what, I'll just do it. I'll have that experience. I'll see what it's like. What celebrity would you love to meet? Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson would be great. Dolly Parton to be Stallone. I'd like to meet Stallone. I like him a lot. Yeah, she talked about in the vlog that I posted. She talked about the night the lights went out on Georgia. She talked about it with in regards to her husband that wrote it. I'd love to meet Bill Murray too. I think Bill Murray's one of those people that you just happen to meet him. So many people have stories of just running into him at different places. So yeah, Jim Croce's house, that was great. That was a lot of fun. The people that owned that were so nice to me. Not I'm not actually an Angelina Jolie fan, so I honestly I probably like could be in the same room with her and not notice her. A lot of them, like, celebrities from the last 20 years, I just didn't really, I've never really gravitated towards their talents or whatever. So best ride at Disney, I don't know. I've only ridden a few of them, so I don't know if there's of the ones that I rode so far, I probably enjoyed the one in Mexico the best. I like that little ride with the Donald Duck stuff in there. That was great. Have I ever met any celebrity from Star Wars? Yeah, Billy D. King came into a record store I used to work at. But I wasn't a Star Wars fan, so it wasn't really like for me. It wasn't as big a deal. Dan Aykroyd. I love Dan Aykroyd. Don't know how I would make a video about him though. He's a pretty. He's like a from what Todd was telling me, like Dan's like a normal dude. Like he probably really wouldn't want to sit down and talk about his career. He's like a guy's guy is the way Todd described him. Whereas if I like sat down with Beverly, Beverly would totally love to talk about her career and stuff. What is your absolute favorite state to visit and why? Um, do I have a favorite state? I don't know if I have a favorite state, honestly. I don't know if I have. There's so much to see in Pennsylvania. I enjoy Pennsylvania. I like driving through Pennsylvania. I love driving through Florida because I like all the willow trees and all that stuff. And Kiss is actually not one of them. It's not in my top like five favorite bands. I know people are always shocked by that because Kiss fans, to them most bands don't even exist. But I don't really have favorite like a list of favorite bands. I love Flaming Lips. I love Grateful Dead. I love Guns N' Roses. Um, I love Neutral Hotel. I'm more like into like songs and records and stuff as opposed to because a lot of bands I really like eras of them, but not. I would maybe Pavement's one of my favorite bands also. Um, War stuff I just don't know much about it. There's certain things that are hard for me for my brain to like figure out or to understand, like war history and auto mechanics. I don't have any. I don't have any understanding of that kind of world. So like those are things that I can't really ever really talk about. I like the looks of cars, but I know nothing about how they work or anything. Steve Keen, as far as I know, he was so overloaded with orders, he had to shut down his purchasing function on his site to catch up. So if you found out about him when I started making videos and you ordered then, consider yourself very lucky because his stuff is getting harder and harder to get. As much of it is as there is out there, I do see, stuff that used to be like $20 on eBay now starts out at like 100. Partially because he didn't put out, somebody put out a book about his art and it got reviewed like great reviews in like Rolling Stone, a bunch of famous bands mentioned it, talked about it, and stuff like that. So, so he's gotten a lot of attention. I was gonna go back to New York because I wanted to show some of those shop windows, kind of like how we did, how we showed this stuff at what is it, Castle Noel, but the weather just kind of interrupted that. What current WWE wrestler do you want to meet? Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is the only one I liked that's on the roster right now. I like Randy Orton too, but mainly who I like as far as wrestlers, I like the independent people. I like Kerry Morton and Brian Pillman Jr. are two of my favorites, and then there's this guy that wrestles for NWA that just cracks me up. His name's Rolando Freeman. He's a real piece of work. I like it. I think that my friend Big Earl Skakel should try and manage Rolando Freeman. I think they would be like a perfect like manager wrestler because they're opposites. Yeah, Kenny Omega's great too. Oh yeah, I will. I'll do some more. I'll do some more stuff on the Carters and Johnny Cash and stuff in the future. Oh, MJF's great. I agree. I like MJF too. Not so much Roman Reigns. I don't really get it. I don't really get the appeal. I don't really get the appeal of the bloodline or any of that stuff. I like Jay Lethal. I think Jay's an awesome wrestler. Yeah, my beard does look weird on here. It's just because of the lighting and stuff. It's darker in certain places than others. I like John Cena as a person, but just never really got into his gimmick that much. Yeah, definitely snowed in Ohio. Could not go anywhere today, and that was a bummer because my phone cable died. Oh, is Violent Night on Prime Video? We tried to go see it in the theater, and again the snow just started coming down so bad while we were in Minnesota that we changed our mind on it. I'm not a CM Punk guy. I'm not a. I mean, I liked him before, but now I just don't really know what to think. Favorite Christmas movie? Christmas Vacation, without a doubt. That was why it was so cool to get a photo, even though Christy Brinkley was at the convention and I could have got a photo with her. I was like, you know what? This time I just want it to be all about Christmas Vacation. So my no, not really. My grandpa he hasn't really had to do much cooking because he's the only one here. And for the holidays, everybody else does the cooking, so he gets out of it this time. My girlfriend made him a big giant box of Christmas cookies. She makes everything from scratch. She's an amazing cook, obviously, and not by me, but she made him his own box of Christmas cookies that he's been working his way through. No, no Colombo locations planned because they're on California. I don't have any plans to go to California. I think I think probably the furthest I would get to that will be probably Vegas and stuff. I'm not real. There's just honestly, there's not much in California that sticks out in my mind that I'm like that makes it enough for me to want to go back and sit in traffic and just all the stuff involved. It was depressing the last time I was there. I mean, it was just like it was depressing. It was sad. It was like so many people living on the street, so many stains all over the sidewalks, and people walking around talking to themselves. It's just not what how I want to remember a place I lived for 21 years. I mean, if you think I'm, crazy or overreacting, I mean, Scott loved living there as much as I did, and we both left at the same time. What does that tell you? And we probably stayed a year longer than like we should have, quite honestly. No, no Vegas for New Year. I was already in Vegas. I was in Vegas last weekend. Isn't that crazy? Man, I've been everywhere. People don't even know where I'm at anymore. Like my family and stuff. Where are you at? What do I want for Christmas? I don't really, that's been a problem. I don't need anything. I bought myself a movie prop that I saw that was up for auction that I just couldn't help myself, and I guess that's my Christmas present to myself. I think part of it was one of those things that when I saw it being auctioned, I was like, never in my life did I think that I would have an opportunity to get that and to own it and be its new, parent. And so when I saw it, I was like, I got to go for it, and then I got it. So I'm sure I'll do a video on it. I'll talk about what how I got it and everything. So Jot's great. Why would he not be? I'm always curious. I'm always like confused by that when people are like, "How's Jot?" Well, if he was bad, I would tell you. So I mean, he's always great. He's a happy dog. Well, I mean, he's spoiled beyond belief. He gets everything he wants. He has people wrapped around his finger, and he has people that have never met him love him to death. I mean, he's got the best life you can imagine. Yeah, he's so happy. In fact, I think he'd be mad at me if he were with me right now because he does not like the cold. When he went to the cold last February, he was not happy with his dad. Oh, thank you, Pilar. That's very nice of you. Have a blessed Christmas and a happy New Year to you as well. You have to get an X-ray. Well, I hope it's nothing serious. I hope you're doing well. How was Roddy Piper? Roddy Piper was awesome. I don't think there will ever be anybody that leaves more of an impression on me as a person, like as far as somebody that wasn't a family member. Shelly left a huge impression, and Roddy. Those were probably like two of the biggest. Because Roddy was interesting because he taught you stuff without without like it coming off that way. Because it was like all of us, idiots at the Comedy Store, we would see Roddy and we were just like, oh, listen. For one thing, it was always let's see what insane thing we can say to Roddy to make him laugh. Because Roddy had a great laugh, so we would always go up to him and just come up with just some wacky comment about like his career or somebody he faced or something just to get him going. And he would usually just go into telling us something, and next thing you know, you'd be like everybody in the room would be looking like just hanging on every word. No, I don't think Roddy and Shelly ever did cross paths. I don't think they ever worked together. She worked with Chuck Norris, but I don't think they never crossed paths. Roddy, I mean, he used to perform at the Comedy Store, but he started coming there just as like a retreat for him, and that's where I met him. He was there one night when I was there, and I said something to a friend of mine that was on stage, and Roddy laughed. But I think one of my favorite memories was when the Comedy Store was kind of dead and they weren't having shows in the main room every night. They would only have shows in the main room on like Friday and Saturday night. I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday, and I walked in um, back there just to see if anything was going on. Sometimes you'd see people sitting around a table talking or whatever. And I just walked back there, and it was just Roddy sitting at the grand piano that used to be in there, and he was just playing a song. And I looked over and saw another friend of mine, Tony Hinchcliffe, across the room at another table, rolling himself a joint and listening to Roddy play piano. We just kind of looked at each other and like, this is kind of like this is awesome that we're the only two seeing this. And Roddy's just up there in his leather jacket, just playing this song, and he gets done. I don't know how long he was playing, and he comes walking past me. I say, Roddy, what were you playing? He said, I don't know, just something I wrote. And I remember just going like, wow, that was great. Then I said, how'd you learn how to play piano? And he said, on that piano right there, right here in this room, nights like this, going up there and just doing that. I was like, wow. No, he never brought his bagpipes to. I do remember he went to film a movie, and And he came back and he was telling us that this guy on the set kept trying to win him over. He goes, this guy, he's like, he kept saying, oh, if I can get anything for you, let me know. I'd be happy to get you anything you need. He's like, I thought he was a PA or something. He goes, and then he comes up to me and he's talking to me about how he plays bagpipes and how, we're talking about bagpipes and everything. He goes, turns out this guy, he said, you know who this guy was? I said, no. He said, he's got a band. You ever heard of a band called Korn? I guess he's the singer of this band Korn. I started laughing. I go, oh, Jonathan Davis? Yeah, I know who Jonathan Davis is. And he goes, yeah, he was on this movie I was on. And he really wanted to meet me pretty bad. He kept offering to go get me a Coca-Cola and stuff. I think Jonathan Davis showed up one day with like an electric bagpipe and was showing it to him. And that's when like he won Roddy over or something like that. Somewhere out there, if you look it up, you can probably find a movie that Roddy and Jonathan Davis are in together. I never saw it, but it seems like that I saw that it was released or something like that. Sorry, I have a real soft light over here, so the video's not quite so good today, but I felt like, maybe there'll be people out there that are home alone for Christmas and would love to just pop on here and ask me a question. Have I met any NFL Hall of Famers? Yeah, Eddie George. Eddie George was really cool to me. I did. I wish I would have been vlogging when I met him because I found out he was in a production of Chicago, the musical Chicago, and he was doing it at the Pantages for like a month in Hollywood. And one night I threw my Ohio State football jersey on because I knew that it's like customary after plays, that people will come out the back door and sign autographs and take photos and stuff. And I forget who was in Chicago with him, but it was somebody really famous, at least in the Broadway world or whatever, because I remember being there in the Ohio State jersey and I had like a football I was going to ask him to sign. And everybody was kind of like looking at me like I was insane. And he came walking out, like everybody was wanting this lady's autograph. And he came out and he saw me at the back and he just like points over top. Everybody goes, my man back there, come on up. And I came up to him and he started talking to me and everything, because he's like a serious actor. A lot of people don't know that. He really put the time in and learned how to be an actor so he could do Broadway. And yeah, he was Heisman Trophy winner, and I think he wrote that on my football, and was really cool to me and everything. Where of course, the time I was acting, so we talked a little bit about acting and stuff, and yeah, so I met him. I'm trying to think, have I met anybody else? Football player wise, if I would have, it would have been at something other than a football game. It would have been like at a baseball game. They were throwing out a first pitch or something. I'm trying to think. I met Magic Johnson that way at Dodger Stadium. But as far as other football Hall of Famers, I'm not sure. I think that was the only one that I can think of. Now somebody will say Eddie George is not in the Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure he is. I don't know. I think so. Ever meet a ghost? Not that I know of, but in all fairness to me, I didn't have Zach Bagans with me either. He's the aficionado on all things ghost, so I feel like if he would have been there, I magically would have. Thank you, Alonzo. Very nice of you. Oh, you met Peyton Manning? That's cool. Yeah, let's see. I met Sam. He's on the Bengals right now. I met Sam Hubbard after a game. Okay, you said he's not in the Hall of Fame? Okay, so yeah, so no, I have not met anybody in the Hall of Fame. I thought Eddie George was, though. Yeah, so I guess not. Not that I can think of. Also, when you were asking earlier if I would, yeah, see, I don't know football that well. No, and I've not met OJ, so boy, wouldn't that be a conversation. God, think of if you had enough time, think of all the like different ways that you could ask OJ questions. because he's expecting certain questions. So if you could hit him sideways with some stuff, go like anybody on Naked Gun ever get under your skin? Just out of curiosity. You say, no, I won't be going to Breck anytime soon. Yeah, I agree. I think Ric Flair's the man too. Like I said, he's, a lot of the complaints that people can make about him, it's mainly just that he lived a selfish life, but to each individual live the life that they want to live, you know. You said OJ was sitting behind him at a movie theater, kept kicking his seat. Jeez. Go, hey man, keep the Bruno Mollies to yourself. Well, what I would love is I would love to have Earl Skakel there with me because Earl claims to have been OJ's neighbor. Yeah, Minnesota -50 wind chill. I saw that. Basically, from when I looked, I think Omaha, Nebraska was like getting blizzard type conditions, and it was all going to work its way east. So that became the issue when I flew back from Vegas. It was like, well, if you don't go now, you're going to have all the wind just blowing right on your back, pushing you. You're from Hammond? Like, is that the border of Indiana, Chicago? Whenever I hear Hammond, I always think of the movie Dutch. What do I think about The Rock? I like The Rock. I think he's a cool guy. Not super into his new that Young Rock show. I like elements of it, but there's a lot about it that I'm not really into. But good for him. He's always doing something. Probably be president someday. Oh, cool. You took the tour with Scott. Yeah, I would love to see Scott open his museum again somewhere. Just where can you open it safely and year round is the question. Because you really need to be able to make money off of it year round. Was Ric Flair kin to the Anderson brothers? No, and the Anderson brothers weren't kin to the Anderson brothers either. Ole and Arn were not related. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I've heard that several times. Yeah, I liked Cobra Kai up until this new season. This new season was a little slow for me, little predictable. I was kind of losing interest in it. I think, yeah, you're in 1 degree weather. See, I think we're all suffering the same thing this Christmas. But then again, I asked for it. I kind of said I would love, a white Christmas, and I got it. So, have I met Angela Lansbury? No, I never did. I liked her in Pirates of Penzance, though. Yeah, I was just at Todd Fisher's house a couple days ago. I wish I could tell you there was, ever since I read his book, there was something that I have wanted to do at their house, and I always was kind of like didn't want to bring it up or ask to do it, and they brought it up this time. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it made my trip. It was just one of those things I was like, this was awesome. This was everything I thought it would be. -4 degrees, yeah. I know, Spinebuster was awesome. Yes, I did see that movie. I did. Wasn't a fan, I'm sorry. Nope, never met Brock Lesnar. Favorite wrestler interaction at a booth? Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter was really cool. He was really fun. Who else? Lex is always nice. He's always really nice and friendly. Flair. Rick, I mean, even though Rick always has a line and there's always people that want to get to and everything, that day that I went to the sneaker convention, that was like different because he had so much break time in between, and his wife Wendy had said like, hey, hang close by and we'll, as soon as he's done, we'll you can go talk to Rick, and Rick will sign your stuff and everything. And just in between, whenever there wasn't anything going on, Rick would pull out his phone and he'd look at like a sports score or something, and he'd look over at me and he'd tell me, and we'd start talking about it, because I know all the people in his life that he likes to razz about sports and stuff. So it was like, I go, hey, did you see that Tennessee score? Wait till you talk to Jarrett. And he go, oh, Jarrett, blah, blah, you know. I remember, like, I mentioned to him when Tennessee was losing that day, and he goes, what does Jarrett know shit about football? He never played football. He never played any college sports. He's laughing. I mean, he's such a like normal guy, even though you wouldn't think he is. He really is. I think he's just one of those people, like some people love, and this is how I describe Chevy Chase to people, because a lot of people said, Chevy Chase, I always hear he's kind of a jerk, or this or that. How was he when you met him? This is how I'd say it. Some people are people, like they like to meet people, and that's, man, that lights them up. You could tell Christy Brinkley was that way, Paul Abdul is that way. Chevy Chase is not. You could just tell it's not that he hates people. He just, like people would say, oh man, you made my Christmas day. He'd say, okay. It just didn't mean, it just didn't mean that much that way to him. But, that's that, to each his own. Ric Flair loves it. He loves when people recognize him. He loves when people want to take a photo with him. And so, not that he's always in the mood to do that, but he always, he loves the fact that he's a pop culture icon and that people care and stuff. Some people, like, that's why I say in the videos he was like Elvis in that regard. Like, some people just draw attention everywhere they go, and you don't know why you like them, you don't know why you care, you just don't know, but you just do. And he's been one of those people about his whole life, it sounds like. I have a friend like that. He's very subdued now. He never ever has sought any attention. It just always found him. My friend Adam, not Adam the Woo, my friend Adam that was in a band. Now he lives like a quiet life with his wife and daughter, but you couldn't go anywhere with this guy. Everybody in every band knew him. Everybody in town knew him. Thank you, Charlie. That's so nice of you. Thank you for the super chat. You go to a freaking flea market, everybody there, Adam, how's it going? What have you been Adam? I was like, geez, dude, you running for mayor? Where did I get the Griswold toboggan? I got it at Castle Noel. Castle Noel had tons of cool stuff. They really did. They had tons and tons of cool Christmas stuff. And I think they only close I think they're closed on Mondays and like the week after Christmas, because they say like so many people come, leading up to that they just take a week off and everything. But other than that, it's year round. And they just opened a miniature golf there that's part science fiction museum, and they have like real movie props from like what's Lost in Space and things like that. So that's their new thing, is that they're kind of like starting up building that into an experience. Yeah, I'm the same way. If people run into me somewhere, I'm always, I'm always in a nice mood, and I'm always happy to meet people. But the thought of like a sit down signing like that would make me real uncomfortable. Just because like I don't, if you're one of those people, you don't view yourself as like being any reason somebody should want your autograph or whatever. It probably is kind of a weird experience. Who's my favorite current female WWE superstar? Probably Liv. I like Liv. I like that she does stuff with Chucky. And her character seems to be going like kind of dark and weird. And of course, one of my all-time favorite baseball players, his wife is Jade Cargill in AEW, so I support her too. Train Ja to sign autographs. I know, you're right. His autograph is highly more sought after than mine. Thank you, Evan Webster. That's nice of you. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I just don't. Maybe I'll get one of those things. I just saw him recently where it's like a piece of something that you put down, and then you put the dog's print on top of it, and it makes a print that way. It never gets on their hands because he doesn't like anything on his hand. No, I never did meet Carrie or Debbie. I never did. And that's so weird because I'm around so much of their stuff so often that it's, I feel like I was literally the other day I was just standing next to Carrie's car, her last car, her Tesla. But yeah, no, I never met her. Yeah, yeah, at some point we'll do a job paw print. We'll do it on like a postcard or something. I meant to, honestly, it got away from me this year, but I was going to try and do a Christmas card, but I just, as you can see the vlogs, I was going so fast of pace trying to keep up with everything that I had planned. I just I just didn't end up getting it done. You've met a lot. Yeah, I mean, I very rarely ever see anybody have a bad story about meeting Hulk Hogan. Hulk was awesome. He was he was really great in person also, and everybody I've met or that's commented on that video that either saw him at an airport or ran into him at a CVS or anything, they've all said the same thing. They're like, "Man, he was so cool in person. Like he was so nice. He like totally took a photo. He's a nice guy." I think people sometimes just forget people have flaws and people say and do things and times change and it's I think sometimes people are like, "Oh, we shouldn't we you should forgive me, but you shouldn't forgive them." I think that's have I kept in touch with Joanna Cassidy? I do. I do. She's been up to stuff this year. She was doing a what was it? One of her movies was she just did a Q&A for one of her movies. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, this is a thing I think people forget. Hulk won a huge settlement. He doesn't have to go and meet people if like he's not, he does it because he wants to. And honestly, even though I've been around him enough, I'm kind of considering. I know January 13th or 15th, something like that. Ric Flair and Hulk are going to be at the same convention in Houston. There's a part of me that wants to drive out there just so I can pay an obscene amount of money and have a photo with both of them together. Just, one of those crazy things, but I just kind of always think like, man, you don't know when people are going to pass away. Even me. It could be me next before them. Who knows? So I did, that was my thought with going to meeting Chevy and Beverly. I mentioned it to Adam the Woo because I know he's always wanted to meet Chevy Chase also. And he thought about it. I just think he didn't really want to travel that much during Christmas. But I just said, with Kirstie Alley going and you just don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to miss out on it. Yeah, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity. Who knows? Chevy may never decide to do another meet and greet type event again. He may never meet up with people ever again. So I guess I could live if that didn't happen, but I certainly would like the chance to if I can. It's what life's all about. Oh boy, thank you. 16 Voyeur, you said, "Hey Jordan, thanks for introducing me to 84 Nash." Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully this year I'm going to help them release a record. Since they've been so good and letting me use their music and everything, I told them that if there was some interest on their part, that I would pay for their album to be reissued so that people that like my channel and like those songs can get the songs, but it'll be on vinyl, so it'll be extra cool. Pinup Girl, thank you so much. You said you love my videos and John. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Lori. And thank you, Jim Politano, for your super chat. I love South of the Border too. I knew what was people were gonna say, "Oh, that's just a bunch of Chinese junk in there," but it's still fun. It's still so fun. Yeah, really. Chevy Chase was like Mr. Saturday Night Live at the time. Joey Votto Hall of Fame. I think so. I think he's done enough. I think it's maybe not a first ballot, but I think he'll definitely get in. I hope so. He certainly deserves it. Somebody that I think that should get in, I'm supposed to meet up with here in the next couple days while I'm in Ohio. We actually kind of an interesting story. I'll explain it in the vlog, but I was basically going to make a video about this person anyway, and then reached out to their foundation to ask questions about where where his childhood home was. And when I told them about my channel, they were like, the people looked at it and they're like, "Hey, would you like him to come out and be in your video with you? You know, help as far as long as we can find a good day for the weather and for his health and everything." I said, "I would love that." So we tried to do it a couple of weeks ago, and we had a couple of issues that just made it not possible the day that we tried. So we're hoping to do it here after Christmas, and that'll be a big deal for me. This is like somebody that I've been a big fan of since I was a kid, and I really never thought I would get to meet him, and it'll be really cool to finally get to do that. He has something for me that he's already like he already signed something that was really special. Is LA worth moving to? That's up to you. I would tell you this: before you move anywhere, you should spend I would say longer than a week and go visit and really spend your time there. It's a place you're going to live. It's real easy in 3 to 5 days to put a nice polish on what you want and tell yourself that it's a great place or that it's what you want. But you really need to like park your car, spend a day walking, explore, be around people. You need to know what you're getting into. You need to take, if at all you may take public transportation to a concert, a sporting event, you need to do that too. You need to go get on a subway underground, take it, get used to that experience. Like all that stuff is stuff that I would tell somebody before you paint yourself a rosy picture, because I did that. Like my grandpa foresaw that with me. He said, I was already planning on attending school in March, but for Christmas that year, he got me a round trip ticket, and said, "You need to go out and visit your friend that lives out there, and you need to see what it's all about before you decide that you're going to live somewhere." And I was already dead set on that I was going to do it anyway because the school was there and that was all. But in hindsight, I saw a lot of people go there, and Michael and I were the only two from all the people in our music school class that stayed. Everybody else decided it wasn't for them. So if you're going for something specific, know what you're going for and dedicate yourself. Like if you're going for music, if you're going to be an actor, you got to go there and say, "This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to only work on that, and I'm going to make that happen." Because if you try and divide yourself, you're just not gonna get there. Other than if you get like real lucky, and usually anything that's real lucky comes and goes pretty quick. So that would be my. If you're asking if it were somebody in my family, I would say I don't think it's a good time to move there personally. And if you want to do something in entertainment, there's so many more options of places you can go to get your foot in the door a little easier. But also, I was a kid that loved Guns N' Roses, and it was my dream to go. And I would never want to tell anybody, don't live your dream. Like you don't know. You may move there, and the day you move there is the upswing. Everything from there on gets better because you're there. Who knows? Honestly, that was my opinion when I went. I was like, when people would tell me, "You don't know what you're getting into. You don't know. I lived there 10 years ago. I know, it's not a great place." And I'd go, "Yeah, but it will be for me." And crazy enough, when I went to my first orientation at the music school, they said, "Oh, you guys are coming in at a good time because like this year, we're really making an active effort to bring more tourism to the town, and we've got all these green shirt security out on the streets to help people, and it's safer now than it's been in a long time," and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on in Atlanta for sure. Canada. I just saw what's his name, Mark Wahlberg did a video where he was saying like he's trying to move the music or the movie industry to Vegas because his I actually went to the CIA museum. You're probably talking about the Spy Museum, right? I did the Mob Museum and I did the Spy Museum. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg was saying like his kids are, one of them's into boxing, or one's into basketball, one's into horse riding, and one's into golf. So he just moved out of Hollywood altogether and said he's trying to lure his friends to bring their productions in the movie industry to Vegas. Man, think of that. Think of Vegas becoming the new Hollywood. The problem, John, you said LA is no longer the town you loved in the 70s. The problem is the people that are in charge now making decisions have no tie to the history. They're not there for that. They're not there because they love the history. They're there because LA is one of the biggest cities in the world, and there's a lot of money flowing around there that they can get their hands on and appropriate places and get garbage built that nobody wants, but that they can say, that's my that was my contribution. Oh, thank you, Raymond. Raymond Doolin, thank you for the super chat. I'm sorry I missed it. That's how I feel. That's how I feel, John. I feel like they made it just so obvious that they don't care about the history that it was like you're forcing people out. People that do. I don't. I mean, I I don't see anything sacred anymore. I did enjoy it when I lived there. I certainly did. I had a lot of fun, or I wouldn't have stayed. But I also know that's a problem too. I know a lot of people that moved there because they wanted to enjoy it. Now have no. I mean, it's so expensive to be there. They can't save money to get out. That sucks. When you're a hostage of your own decisions, and you're stuck in like a 2,000 or 25 or $3,000 apartment, and you can't save anything beyond that to even move and get out anywhere. To move, you got to have a deposit for a new place. You got to have moving expense money. You got to have money when you're not. I mean, it's so expensive. I feel bad for people. You got to have family that can help you almost nowadays. It's not like it used to be where you could raise a family on like one income and stuff. That's like, man, they make it so hard. I don't think they care. I don't think that town cares about the people as much as they want to like raise, like, tax people to death for different things. They don't care about the people there. They could care less. I think personally, think they hope that like people don't live there very long. Less people they have to take care of in every other way. You know what I mean? What kind of camera? I use I use two of them. I use what's it called? The Sony ZV-1, and I use a Canon G7X Mark III. It just depends on what I'm filming. I'm gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon though, because my grandfather lives for watching sports, and he loves for me to watch sports with him, and we always spend every evening watching sports together. So it's becoming that time. I can hear the basketball announcers in the background. So we're going to have to, unfortunately, call it a night for this Christmas stream. But I hope that you all have a very wonderful Christmas. I hope if there's anything I can do, I hope that you let me know. And I hope that that you get something out of my channel. I hope it entertains you. And thank you for the 6 years of freedom that I've had since I started doing this. Yeah, you guys, you'll have to hit up Scott Michaels and tell Scott you want us to do some vlogs together and do a live stream together, and we'll do something like that if you peer pressure him. So thank you, everyone, and stay safe. If you're in a place that's getting heavily snowed on, stay safe, eat a ton of food, enjoy your Christmas, because it only comes once a year, unless you live in my house and you have a Christmas tree up all year round. Love you all, and yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great night, guys.